Hello. Good morning and welcome to Courageous Conversations. I'm Victoria Lorient Fabish, and here we go again. So, after my post yesterday on, or my live, my Facebook Live, my Courageous Conversations show, on gaslighting, I gotta say, a lot of people really interacted with that. It was truly a very, very impactful experience. So what I'm here to tell you is that I wanted to talk a little bit about what it means. And I'm going to wait till a few people come on and I'm going to share, but I really want to say, I don't want to just leave it like that. This is what gaslighting is, because I want to talk about how one would come out of the chaotic childhood, how one might really, really come past the chaotic childhood, because often the legacy of the chaotic childhood is not knowing what the hell normal is. And so, you're like groping around in the dark, literally. And so I just want to, and hi everyone that's coming on. I really appreciate that you are. So I am going to just share on Courageous Conversations, my page and group, which I invite you to join me at sometime. Join the group. We're there to support each other. And also the page, Courageous Conversations, which, has all these videos there. So when I talk about gaslighting, I want to just say that, hi, Adele, I really appreciate your being here and everyone that's commenting and interacting. I love that you do. I love when you engage. It makes it a richer conversation. Does that make sense? It makes it a richer, courageous conversation. So I would love to have, if you have any questions or comments, please talk, because growing up in a chaotic experience, I think, is a common, very, very common thing that people have experienced. So, okay, I've done my sharing. If you want to share too, if you feel that's right, please do. But let's just talk about, what I see every day and what many people who struggle, who have gone through chaotic childhoods in which there has been, for example, oh, Adele, thank you for saying that you're an MSW with the Toronto East General Hospital. Well, that's fantastic. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. You deal with a lot of people's, chaotic childhoods and the results therein afterwards. So when people grow up in these kinds of childhoods, and there is a legacy, and when you come out of the childhood and then you hit life. And then what happens is that there's this groping around in the dark experience. I don't know what normal is. I don't know what normal relationships are. And I've been told one reality, but really reality is different. Am I crazy? Are they crazy? Can I trust anyone? Probably not. People are unsafe. Relationships are strange. My the whole thought process is the person says the relationship to family relationships and close, intimate relationships are skewed from people who have not experienced chaotic childhoods. And therefore, there is so much of a journey that a person who's trying to recover from that, a lot of people don't have an awareness of the wonderful 12-step group called Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. And it is amazing because you don't have to be the child of an alcoholic. It's the child of a dysfunctional family. And there's a legacy that leaves. And there's a laundry list of traits. Go on their website that a lot of the adult child people have in common, And it's things like, incredibly afraid of authority, incredibly taking over responsibility, feeling guilty for standing up for yourself, not knowing what normal is, being at the mercy of other people's needs, very codependent, disease to please, extremely afraid of confrontation, will block and numb out any kind of desire to stand up and say something. So it's a legacy. It's a legacy. And then, there's so many more things that are amazing that when you come out of chaos, you learn how to navigate chaos. You actually feel more comfortable in chaos. You actually feel more relaxed in chaos. So there's all those types of things as well, which is kind of interesting. Hi, Mia. Nice to see you. And so there's so many different ways in which there is an impact upon the adulthood. And I work with so many people, and I myself really understand all of this. So it's my passion to share it. And multi-generational dysfunction, what gets me up in the morning, as I say often, is, we can not perpetrate the same chaos and gaslighting and dysfunction upon the next generation if you want to. So thank you, Wendy. Thank you, everyone who's showing up. It's awesome. And just share this with your people, because I think that people are going to want to know. But the thing about growing up, by the way, I just want to say that my talk yesterday on gaslighting just sparked so many conversations with me. And what I really wanted to also make sure that people got was that it's such a subtle piece sometimes that people don't even know. And especially you must learn to recognize it. And it's so easy to gaslight a child. It's so easy to be over controlling and over disciplinarian and confuse them if the parent themselves is not well. So when there's mental health issues and there's all this imbalance going on in the parental life, it's very easy to sort of gaslight and to affect a kid in very, very, very negative ways. But, the legacy, what I do want to say is how to transform your childhood legacy. I do want to say is that you get really good things from growing up in chaos as well, because there is such a thing as post-traumatic growth. And, I think some unbelievably amazing people are survivors of chaos, and of dysfunction and of disharmony in the childhood. I'm one of them. So it's like, I'm doing some great things, as this is passion for me because of what, I came from. So it's almost like I recommend it. No, not really. But what I really want to say is that the number one thing I recommend, or I talk to people about when they start to recover from that stuff, that experience, that childhood. Number one, anybody have any ideas what the number one thing is? Create a routine. Create a balancing routine. Very often that really eludes people, having a routine. It's a weird thing. But I say that you have to create routine to lower the chaos instinct. The chaos instinct is like you normalize chaos and drama and excitement. And it's almost like, what's life without drama and excitement and chaos? It's like that's so normal that there is such an incredible lack of ability to experience normalcy. And normalcy begins with a routine. And a routine doesn't have to be strict, but it has to be regular and daily. So build in a routine. Try and get up at the same time. Try and get to the gym at the same time if you're going to get exercise. It's like rest, exercise, balance, meditation, good food, and regularity and routine are all the prescriptions for getting past this addiction to or normalization of chaos. Okay? Wendy, you're speechless. Tell me why you're speechless on this. So let me know. Write it down. Tell me why you're speechless about that. But routine is number one. And I had a client just recently tell me that I don't want to have a routine, and I don't want to get to the gym and start to self-care. And I'm like, well, tell me why. What's the reaction? He says, because when he has a routine and is in the gym and doing self-care, he starts to amp up the productivity because he's feeling better. Amp up the productivity. And then that ruins the balance because there's taking on too many projects, overdoing too much, because they're feeling good. They're feeling good because the balance starts to come back and the self-care and the self-compassion. And then what happens is that there's an association with balance and routine and feeling good with, now I got to be productive. Now I got to perform. Now I got to be in the disease to please. Now I got to do more. Right? So I want people to redefine what routine and feeling good is actually about. And I will define normalcy in a moment, but normal is different for everyone. But the problem is that when you grow up in chaos, you actually have no idea what normal is. You actually have no idea what normal is. So normal, such a ridiculous word, but when I say that we don't know what normal is, it's like the chaos becomes normal and just regular relating becomes abnormal. And so this is where the craziness, or honoring your own feelings, becomes abnormal. Listening to other people becomes normal only. Like, it's good to listen to other people, but deferring only to other people is abnormal, is not healthy. Listening to yourself is normal. Having compassion for yourself if you make a mistake is normal. Crucifying yourself if you make a mistake is abnormal. Yet that becomes, because of what a person grew up in, normal. Does that make sense, Adele? And people who are asking about what is normal? Therefore, when you are, and I just want to read what Wendy Waddell says here. You're right, routine helps so much. Husband's work is not routine, so I avoided routine so we could see him more. But I pushed myself into routine for self-care, and it helps a lot. Exactly. These are the kinds of things that I feel are so important. And Adele, thank you so much for your engagement. I really, really, really appreciate it. But the interesting thing about recovering from chaotic childhood is number two. So we got number one is routine. Number two is something that does not happen in chaotic homes. And that is, and I mentioned it earlier, having compassion for yourself when you make a mistake or when something gets out of control. Last night, my internet effed up, and we've been working really hard, really hard to get our internet with Bell Fibe. And so my computer's on Wi-Fi, my husband's is plugged in, but my computer isn't doing that fast anymore since we upgraded, so to speak, to the Fibe thing. And we even bought a booster and spent money on that. And my God, there was problems with the internet, and there continues to be. I'm on my phone. There continues to be problems with the internet. So last night I had a full-on get ready. I didn't go to bed till 2:30 in the morning, hence the disheveled. And I had a temper tantrum. I had a full-on temper tantrum. I cried. I was like, oh, how, I just was blaming my husband for getting it wrong. I was, just a mess last night because I was not balanced myself. I'd had a very, very busy day, and I hadn't eaten, and I was just off my balance. And so this thing with the internet not working just threw me off kilter, and I just lost my mind. It was old school. As I said to my husband, wow, I lost it old school. I lost it old school, and I freaked out, and I blamed, and I swore, and I cried. I teach this stuff for 25 years, but this happens. So I effed up. I really did. I was blaming and shaming. I was just a mess, and I really was not nice. And thankfully, these things don't last very long. I have a big cry, and then I realize, I realize that in the family of origin, I would crucify myself for that mistake. And thankfully, I have a very forgiving husband. He didn't like what was going on, but he also said, I get it. We're frustrated with this situation. But the thing about healing from the childhood legacy is, after routine, we got number two, which is self-compassion when you make a mistake, and self-acceptance. And, apologize when you F up, which I did, and said, babe, I know about this stuff and I know how this affects people. So my profound apology for laying that crap on you. Not your fault, not your monkey, not your circus, my monkey, my circus, and I'm sorry. Really a sincere apology. And we have the kind of relationship where we can apologize when we screw up and we don't hold on to grudges at all. It's just like, I love you, I get it, you know, and I'm sorry. I keep saying I'm sorry. It's like, don't have to say I'm sorry many, many, many times, because then it gets to be a bit ridiculous. But it's more like, take responsibility for what you did. But because self-compassion doesn't mean you negate responsibility for what you've done. No, you own it, and you own it good. I mean, good, people, not just, oh, well, you know, excuses. Own it good. And then have compassion for yourself. I have tears thinking about self-compassion. Maybe I'm tired too because I went to bed late. So self-compassion, and that looks like, I mean, again, a person growing up in the experience of chaos will like, well, what the hell is self-compassion, Victoria? I've had people ask me, what's self-compassion? I don't even know what the hell that is. No one's ever shown me that. So how can I show myself that? Okay, not knowing what normal is. Well, normal is looking at yourself with kindness, looking at yourself with a sense of, you don't have to be perfect for me to love you. You don't have to be perfect for me to love you. That's what a good family is like. That's what a balanced parenting is like. You're a person, you make a mistake, and I still love you. That's what it looks like in normalcy. In abnormalcy, you screw up, you make a mistake, you are either dead to me in some families, you are always going to be labeled as the person that does these things, you are forever and always going to be seen in that way in that family. So in normal family dynamic, there is a sense of, you can mess up, but I still care about you, and you're not your actions. So it's an incredible healing. As Adele says, self-compassion is critical for recovery. People need hope and love. And that is exactly the right truth. And, you know, Rena, exactly, it is unconditional love, but it is also, I mean, not just a free-for-all, you can mistreat me, ba, 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 ba. No, and mindfulness, Adele says, yes. It's not about you, I had the right to lose my shit on my husband last night. No, it's not about him loving me through abuse. That's bullshit. What it is understanding that there is room for mistakes, and there is room for people to be human and not be perfect. That's the other massive transformation of the legacy of chaos. And I would say that number 3, very, very, very important, is a sense of, when you get the routine, when you get the balance, when you get the self-compassion, self-acceptance starts to happen, where you start to not be so at the mercy of other people's approval of you. Your approval of you becomes enough. So acceptance, absolutely an acceptance. And yes, you're preempting me, Adele. Good job. Number 4 is boundaries. But boundary setting can be so difficult for people exactly who have suffered chaos and abuse. But I believe that good boundary setting has to be served best when you are balanced and routined and have self-compassion and self-acceptance, because you want to deliver the boundaries in a fair, kind way. And when you're, don't F with me, you know, get off my, you know, like drawing boundaries, it's often delivered in an extremely angry way. And then your message, I did a video on this, your message of anger makes you lose your actual messaging. Your medium is the anger, and the message gets lost. And so is your message getting lost in the medium of anger? And so you got to bring the anger down through self-care, self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance, balance and routine. And then you'll be able to deliver your boundaries in a much, much more gentle way. And, you know, practice, practice, practice. You're not going to get this right off the bat, but practice, practice, practice. And the truth of the matter is, Adele says, this sounds like an AA 12-step program. Actually, it's ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. Lots of meetings in Toronto. It is profoundly wonderful and a really good combination as therapy plus ACA meetings as a tip. I feel that's an amazing recovery model. ACA therapy, once every couple of weeks or once every week, depending, once every couple of weeks in my model, and then ACA meetings. So, okay, so there. Wow! These courageous conversations are darn amazing, I feel, because they're therapeutic for me, they're therapeutic for you, they really are powerful, I feel. And I really want to say that the engagement really gives me a lot of hope, and I'm pleased to see the engagement because it seems like I'm hitting the right tone and the right chord in people. And what really, really makes me, feel really so satisfied with what work I do is to be able to help people, transform at the deepest of levels, the deepest of levels, at the cellular level, really. I mean, I'm a holistic psychotherapist, so that's what really moves me on massive levels. So I'm going to come at you again next week as of Tuesday, and I'm going to have an interesting guest on Wednesday. And we're going to talk about good old dating, but from a more courageous perspective. But all I want for you today is to really work on, if you've come from chaos and not normally, what normal is, to work on concepts like create a routine, create balance with that routine, self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance, very hard but important, and then drawing the boundaries and really operating from a place of, go to meetings like an ACA, read books to start to understand what is normal. And there's books to read on adult children, like to understand what is normal. And if you don't know what normal is, start to learn what normal is. And normal includes self-compassion when you make a mistake, listening to your own voice, standing up for yourself, not taking over responsibility for other people, not getting lost in the disease to please, non-chaos, get used to boring, get used to less drama. That's normal. Abnormal is chaos, drama, excitement. I mean, excitement should happen as a one-off in your life, or not a one-off, but not often. More routine, more creating relaxation and balance in life. And I know I struggle with that. So it's really an important thing to work on. Okay. So wonderful to see everyone. I'm just so blessed. So I will send you a tremendous amount of love. Please keep having courageous conversations with yourself and others. Coughing, sorry about that. And also allow yourself to be part of the journey of coming into recovery, however that is for you. Therapy, ACA, sharing with a trusted confidant, meditation, mindfulness, all of those things. Okay? Blessings. We'll come at you live with another courageous conversation on Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, AM. Blessings.